Hello again and welcome back. Thank you all so much for taking the time to stop by and talk about GameStop with me. Whew, what a sell off, down 3% uh, last Friday, even more so after hours, which is aggressive. However, as painful as this may be, what an absolute opportunity as we see, the impossible happen. GameStop has retraced to its bottom trend line, its long-term upwards trend. And, we understand how good of a buying opportunity this is, specifically with common shares, as you're not worried about time, as we could potentially consolidate for some period. However, uh, once we do, we can wait for a reversal signal, a confirmation entry, and maybe plan, um, an options attack strategy moving forward again. Um, so why do I think that this is an amazing buy opportunity? Well, we had the earnings gap up where we surpassed earnings on all accords, right? And we also have the warrant catalyst, which I understand is met potentially with a negative outlook as it's dilution, right? But even with that, um, we should not have retraced this much, in my opinion, right? We have the earnings gap up, 26. Let's say you give back 10%, and you're at 24, not 22, right? So, kind of crazy that we get this opportunity now. Why do we get it? Well, the entire market pulled back, right? Trump announced 100% tariffs on China, in addition to what already was, and that just sent the market in a nosedive, which is pretty brutal. That could potentially continue for some time. However, I believe that to be unlikely. I think the market is incredibly strong, as we've seen Green Day after Green Day after Green Day for the last 2 months, right? We are far overdue for a retracement. Anything that happens right now is healthy, right? Is it extreme? Yes, but it's because we ran so hard prior to the retracement. And even if we do retrace more, I don't think we're getting to a healthy level yet, because a retracement from 670 to 640 still doesn't bring us back to 600 where we probably should be, right? So I do think that the market is incredibly strong, and we're going to have to wait and see, right, how long this retracement happens. It could be quite volatile, right? We've seen it drop just in 2 days, right? It fell off an absolute cliff. It could be right back to the peak of the mountain in 2 more days, right? So things are very volatile, with the macroeconomics, right? So we mentioned this the other day, which was crazy, that we're getting to these support levels. We've got the lower band of the bond gap, and then we've got the earnings gap here. So it's just very unlikely that we break through all that, right? Unless we have Trump do something crazy, and then like 3 days later, we have that happen. So here we are. I know it's painful, but just try to brush that off and think of the amazing buy opportunity that we have presented to us once more, that honestly we should not be getting. And so, with that being said, really good non confirmation entries here on your shares. We don't know how long we consolidate on our lower trend line for, or even if it holds, it could break down, which again, I freaking doubt it, dude. But, let's wait this out, try to pick up some nice cheap commons. And then once we have a meaningful reversal signal, we can plan another options attack. So, chilling. There's not much to look at the indicators here, right? Everything's bearish, bouncing off the sell side liquidity and that lower trend line. This has got to be our absolute lows as far as I'm concerned. I didn't think we would even get it. I want a 15-minute reversal. If I'm looking for something uh, meaningful to come forward on the other side of this, get that market structure shift from lower lows to higher lows. So we're going to need these EMAs to reverse, the 21 and the 50, and then pairing that with a key level breakout, either invalidating this bearish order block here, which has moved down, but it's still here, or that 200, right? at which point, we can move into the 4 hour and look for something here, right? But mostly looking at the kitty indicator um, on that PMO 4 hour, right? So we've seen this kind of swing back, and that's when the 4 hour crossed. And then we're like, okay, if the 4 hour can reset back, we're good to go. If it doesn't, then we're really going to test our moving average PMO here with the regular PMO, which is it's not good, right? That's bearish. So back to the 4 hour, and this is where it rejected, right? First we had it break through, and then we retried and rejected, and then that was the point we knew it was all over. And when this reverses again, we can start to look for that. And if we can get confirmation on that on the 4 hour, then we go to the 1 day and see what this is looking like. On that note, on the 1 day, we also have these RSI downtrend breakouts, right? Previously setting off a new run, right? So looking kind of for that again. I would assume that we retest and reject it maybe a few times, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, like a couple times it could happen. So, maybe a period of consolidation. But when this does have a downtrend breakout and we pair it with the PMO and we pair that with our exponential moving average reversal signal that I like, now we can kind of take a look at the options chain with the current price structure and plan something out accordingly. With that being said, I have to recommend options as a strategic investment. Chapter 25, leaps, long-term options contracts, right? We have 52 days until earnings. We're on our bottom trend line. A very nice time, again, to A, load in with common shares, and B, start to look at a potential earnings play, right? IV is low, and we're going to wait and see how that plays out for the week for all of our indicators, obviously. And max pain is chilling. Our put to call ratio is down a little bit. Not really worth looking though at that, I feel. But we'll keep an eye on it, right? More so looking at the leap puts, those $5 puts, 400,000 of them, and on the January, and then December's got like 30,000 of them or something. So these, I believe, are acting as a hedge for the bond arbitrage players. And when these bleed down, we can maybe look for a price retracement back to that mid 25 mark, I'm guessing. So moving forward, we could potentially do some curriculum for the options, right? It would be A, great for me to refresh, but B, maybe good for anyone looking to get their toes in the water and maybe learn a little bit about everything. So, just going through like some questions and answers, right? Like maybe one video we do questions, and then next video we do the answers for those questions, and kind of maybe develop a little bit of a curriculum. Which would be really easy because I honestly already have the study guide chilling. But if you're interested in it, of course, these are available as a PDF, so you don't have to go out and buy them right away. You can gain some knowledge first, and then have that benefit you, and then maybe once it does, you go out and pick up a copy, right? 'Cause I love to have the hard copy. You can put your coffee mug right on it, get that authentic coffee stain, maybe do some highlighting. Just absolutely ruin the book, right? So 52 days until earnings, we're not really looking great. However, don't be glum. Make that into an opportunity. And we see Richard Newton picking up some shares at the absolute bottom. And it's just the lower trend line, right? Super simple stuff. Doritos, right? Just perfect entries here on that lower band. And we could get it again, and we could drop low. But at the end of the day, plus or minus a few percentage points, this is amazing risk reward. It's not ever going to get better than this. GameStop has some time to go still, right? So it's now positioned itself to survive any extreme market turbulence. But that has to happen. Well, they need to survive it to position themselves, which they've done. B, it needs to happen, right? The whole market needs to crash. Now, I don't think this is it. I know a lot of people, as soon as we're down a couple percentage points, they start, oh, look at these regional banks and stuff. And yeah, okay, sure, great. But until it actually happens, I'm not going to get too excited. as it could take some time, right? I think it's just a healthy retracement right now. And then when it does happen, then GameStop can start, doing some acquisitions, and then they've got to turn those companies around like they did for themselves, which again might take more time and multiple bull cycles down the road, and who knows how long. Could be another 10 years, right? So uh, just be patient, understand the opportunity that's presented to you, both on the downtrends and the uptrends, right? We have a really good uptrend opportunity here, and the 28 was a pretty decent downtrend. Badass Trader, Dorito of Doom, Doritos, Danny Dorito. Man, it's just so good. Really basic stuff if you want to, get into that. And, I'm not saying you have to sell your GameStop shares, but what you can do is learn option contracts within these movements while you hold your shares, right? That's awesome. B, you can also potentially scalp around your core position, just selling 10% off the top, buying in. Now you get 15% back on the bottom, right? Something like this, right? It doesn't have to be drastic. I'm not saying sell the majority of your GameStop shares, but you could sell a few right at the top, and then you could buy in, back at the bottom, and then, it doesn't feel like you're wasting time, right? That you're just sitting here doing nothing, because now you're scalping around your core. You're learning how to do these option contracts, which I do believe is important, and you're having fun throughout this extended period, which could be quite long, right? So just psychologically, it's going to be a lot healthier for us all. So thank you all so much for watching. I don't have a lot for you today. Like I said, we had amazing retracement. Now we're waiting for non-confirmation entries, but B for the reversal signals for those confirmation entries, and we can start this whole song and dance again. So things look good. Make sure to shop at GameStop. I guess that's the most important thing, right? Open up those power packs, and you just have an absolute magical day. And I'll see you all soon in the next. Take care.